Hey guys, Coach Carey here again. So today's lesson we're going to focus on tight turns. Now if you can see, I have a pylon set in front of me for this drill. So if you don't have a pylon at home, you can use a lot of different things. You can use a rock, you can use a puck if you need to. We're just using it as something that we're going to use as a target to choose when we're going to do our tight turn. So there's a lot of things you need to focus on when you're doing tight turns, and we're just going to go through all those things right now. So when we're approaching our pylon here, if I want to turn my body and get around this pylon, what I need to do, if you remember, is our stick is kind of like our guide. So it's always going to be leading us in whichever direction we want to go. So if I want to turn to the right, I'm going to move my stick in the direction, and then my top, my chest, and my shoulders will follow, and then my body will also turn along with me. So the same thing goes when we're doing a tight turn. If we want to stay as tight as we can to this pylon, we're going to reach around the pylon with our stick, and then our body will follow. So watch, as I come around, I'm going to reach with my stick, you see my body go, and then I'll follow along all the way around. Now, the other thing we need to focus on as we're doing our tight turn is that we want to stagger our feet. We don't want to be together like this, otherwise we're going to lose our balance, and we don't really dig into the ice and keep our momentum and our speed going forward. So we want to have our inside foot, so the leg that's closest to the pylon, up in front, and our trailing leg, which is the one behind, should be a little bit further back, but also we don't want to keep it too close. It should be shoulder length apart. So if you can see, my right leg is in front, my left leg is behind, but they're still keeping shoulder length. And as we approach this pylon, we're going to do the same thing. So as you see, as I start to reach around, my right leg's in front, my left leg is trailing, and as we glide around, we're just going to come around like that. All right? Now, the last thing we need to cover for this is that our trailing leg, if you remember, should be behind. We don't want to be dragging it on the ice, nor do we want to just lift it up either. So we want to make sure this leg stays on the ice and is gliding with us, because that's going to help us keep our momentum as we turn around this pylon. And so even if we go the opposite direction, if I'm going to go to the left now, the same thing happens, except for my left leg now is going to be my leading leg, so it's going to be closest to the pylon. So it has to be in front, and then my right leg is going to be off to the side, keeping shoulder length apart, but also behind me. So as we reach around, it's going to be here, and as you can see, my arms are reaching around the pylon, and my legs are staggered around, all right? So now we're going to show you what it looks like with rollerblades on, and you can follow along. So now we have Coach Will just demonstrating. You can just to the right. So he reaches around that cone with his stick, and then his body follows as he turns around that pylon, making sure, if you see, his leading foot is in front, staggered from the trailing foot so they're not too close together. Now our two mistakes is not having proper stick positioning and not bending our knees and spacing out your feet. So as Coach Will demonstrates this, the problem with having our stick behind us here is that you're supposed to be using your stick as a guide. So if you reach around that pylon, it's going to help guide your body to follow through with your stick, and it makes the turning so much easier. Now the other common mistake that people make is not bending our knees or spacing them out. So as you see Coach Will going through, he's standing upright, and then that's not allowing him to keep his momentum as he makes those turns. And if you were spacing out your feet, you would also be able to have more balance and stability while also keeping your speed going through this.